It's the middle of winter. A severe storm has knocked out power across the region. Outside, temperature is well below freezing. Inside this home, the freezer that held hundreds of dollars worth of meat is now just a gradually warming box. Within 48 hours, everything inside will spoil. Steaks, ground beef, poultry, all of it gone. But just 50 miles away, in an Amish community, something completely different is happening. Meat has been hanging in this smokehouse for weeks. The wood smoke fills the space. The air is thick with the smell of curing meat and hickory wood. This meat is safe. This meat will remain edible for months. And yet, no freezer, no electricity, no modern refrigeration of any kind. While modern families lose everything when power fails, one community has quietly preserved meat without electricity for centuries. So how can meat, one of the most perishable foods, remain safe for weeks or even months without any form of refrigeration? The answer reveals something profound about human resilience and the wisdom of working with nature rather than against it. The Amish have lived in North America for nearly 300 years. They've built communities rooted in simple living, self-sufficiency, and deliberate rejection of modern technology. This isn't deprivation or being stuck in the past. It's a conscious choice based on religious convictions about humility, community, and living within natural limits. For an Amish family, winter is not an abstract concept or a casual season to navigate. Winter is survival itself. It's the period when fresh food isn't available, when animals stop producing milk. When hunting and foraging become impossible, the family must depend entirely on what was preserved during months of abundance. This reality has shaped everything about Amish farming, food production, and community life. Nothing is wasted. Everything is preserved. Every animal slaughtered during butchering season is transformed into forms that will sustain the family through winter and into spring. Meat preservation isn't a hobby or a specialty skill. It's survival. Knowledge of how to preserve meat has been passed down through generations. A child growing up in an Amish family learns meat preservation the same way they learn to walk, through participation from earliest years, through watching parents and grandparents, through gradually taking on more responsibility. This knowledge is precious, maintained carefully, practiced consistently. Understanding why the Amish have perfected meat preservation requires understanding the reality of their world. Meat production is seasonal. Animals are slaughtered when they're in peak condition, when they've grazed through summer and autumn and reached ideal weight and nutrition. But this happens only once, perhaps twice per year. If an Amish family slaughters a cow in November when it's at peak condition, that meat must feed the family from November through the following spring, potentially 6 months or more. There's no option to simply buy more meat at a store if supplies run low. There's no alternative system. The meat preserved now determines what the family eats until fresh meat is available again. An Amish family might preserve 50, 75, even 100 pounds of meat during a single butchering. This meat will be transformed into many forms, some smoked, some salt-cured, some dried, some rendered into lard. Each form serves a purpose. Each form will be used in different ways throughout winter. When winter comes and animals stop producing, when fresh meat is impossible to obtain, the family's security depends entirely on the work done during autumn. This isn't theoretical or academic. This is survival. A family that didn't preserve enough meat would go hungry. This shared reality
This is
that
how we
everyone
provide
must
for our
preserve
families, son.
meat or face hunger has created a cultural emphasis on knowledge and skill that's remarkable. Families take
We
this
must get this
seriously.
salt rubbed in
The
well.
entire community
The smoke is
participates
just
in
right.
butchering season. Knowledge is carefully taught. Mistakes are corrected. The stakes are too high for casual learning. Butchering season begins in late autumn when temperature drops and fresh meat can be kept cool without refrigeration. The timing is crucial. Too early and the weather might still be warm, risking spoilage. Too late and winter becomes difficult. Amish families have refined this timing over centuries, knowing exactly when conditions are right. When an animal is butchered, nothing is wasted. The meat is carefully divided into different cuts, each designated for different preservation methods and uses. The offal, organs, bones, anything that might be wasted in industrial agriculture is used for specific purposes. Even blood is used in making sausage and other products. Butchering is community work. Multiple families gather to help each other. One family might slaughter their animals, but many hands participate in the preservation work. This community participation accomplishes several things at once. The work is finished quickly and thoroughly. Knowledge is shared among younger people who are watching and learning, and the burden is distributed so no single family is overwhelmed. The organization is remarkable. Every piece of meat moves through a deliberate process. Large cuts destined for smoking are salted and set aside. Smaller pieces might be dried. Ground meat becomes sausage, which will be smoked or cooked and preserved in lard. The elderly women know by experience which cuts work best for which preservation method. A young person's first butchering season is their introduction to something they'll do for the rest of their life. They watch carefully. They ask questions. They begin with small tasks, fetching ingredients,
Is this enough salt for
observing
this
the
piece?
process,
Yes, rub
gradually
it in
taking
well,
on more
like
responsibility as their understanding develops. This hands-on education is irreplaceable. By evening, the animal is completely processed. What enters the butchering area as a living creature leaves transformed into forms that will sustain the family for months. The transformation is both practical and profound. The animal's final gift, its meat, will provide nutrition, calories, protein through the long winter ahead. Salt is one of the oldest preservation methods known to humans. Its antimicrobial properties prevent bacterial growth. Salt-cured meat will remain edible indefinitely if stored properly. This simple chemistry, salt draws water out of meat, creating an environment where spoilage organisms cannot survive, has allowed humans to preserve meat for thousands of years. The process is straightforward, but requires knowledge. The meat must be packed completely in salt, with no exposed areas. Salt penetrates slowly, starting from the outside and gradually working inward. For a large cut, this process takes weeks. During this time, the meat is being transformed. Water is being drawn out, salt is being absorbed, the texture is changing. Salt-cured meat is stored in the coolest available location, often a root cellar or partially underground space where temperature stays consistently cool. Temperature stability is important. Fluctuating temperatures cause salt to reabsorb water, potentially allowing spoilage. Consistent cold slows any bacterial growth that might occur. Different cuts require different salting times. Thin bacon might be ready in 2 weeks. A large ham requires 4 to 6 weeks of salting. This knowledge, knowing exactly how long each cut needs, comes from experience. An Amish person who's been doing this for 40 years knows intuitively when meat is properly cured. Before consuming salt-cured meat, It must be rinsed to remove excess salt. Then it can be cooked, sliced and fried, added to soups, or prepared in various traditional dishes. The flavor is intense, developed through months of curing. A thin slice of salt-cured bacon or ham provides tremendous flavor with minimal quantity needed. The next step determines whether the meat lasts weeks or months beyond what salt alone provides. Because salt preservation, while effective, is just one layer of a more complete system. Combined with smoking, salt-cured meat becomes even more stable. The combination of two preservation methods creates redundancy and extends storage life significantly. But smoke alone isn't enough either. The smokehouse is the heart of meat preservation for many Amish families. It's been standing for decades, sometimes generations. It's built for one purpose: to provide the precise conditions necessary for smoking meat safely and thoroughly. The interior is organized strategically. Racks at different heights allow efficient use of space. Smoke rises, so positioning is important. Meat higher up receives less smoke than meat lower down. An experienced person understands these nuances and arranges meat accordingly. The fire is the most critical element. It must burn slowly and cool enough not to cook the meat, yet hot enough to create sufficient smoke. The temperature is typically between 90 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Too hot, and the meat will cook. Too cool, and the smoke won't be sufficient for preservation. Managing this temperature requires constant attention. The smoke itself is preservation. Compounds in smoke, particularly phenols and creosotes, have antimicrobial properties. They kill or inhibit the bacteria that cause spoilage. The smoke creates a barrier on the meat's surface that protects it from insect infestation and light damage. Combined with salt curing that's already been applied, the smoke provides multiple layers of protection. The choice of wood affects flavor. Hickory smoke produces a strong, distinctive taste. Oak is milder and more subtle. Fruit woods like apple or cherry produce slight sweetness. An Amish person who's been smoking meat for decades has developed preferences based on what flavors work best with their family's palate and traditions. Smoking isn't quick. A ham might hang in the smokehouse for 3 to 4 weeks. Bacon might smoke for 2 to 3 weeks. This slow process allows the smoke to penetrate deeply, ensuring preservation throughout the meat's thickness. The exterior develops a distinctive appearance, dark, slightly glazed, unmistakably smoked. When the smoking is complete, the meat is removed and wrapped. Often it's wrapped in paper and cloth, stored in the coolest available location. Properly smoked and stored meat can last for 6 months, a year, or even longer. The combination of salt curing followed by smoking creates extraordinary preservation. What happens after the meat leaves the smokehouse may surprise you. It's not immediately consumed or simply stored randomly. There's an entire system of organization and management that determines how and when preserved meat will be used throughout winter. Beyond smoking and salt curing, meat can also be dried. Thin strips of meat, beef, venison, or other game, are arranged where air can flow around them. The moisture gradually evaporates over days or weeks. The result is lightweight, shelf-stable meat that can travel, doesn't require special storage, and can remain edible indefinitely if kept dry. Dried meat is concentrated nutrition. An ounce of dried meat contains the protein of several ounces of fresh meat. A small pouch of dried meat strips can provide substantial nourishment. This was used historically by travelers, hunters, and nomads who needed portable protein. Amish families use dried meat similarly, as convenient protein for meals when fresh meat isn't available. Lard is fat rendered from pork. When cooked down and stored, it provides cooking fat for the entire year. Beyond its use as a cooking medium, lard can be used as a preservative. Meat cooked and packed in lard will remain edible indefinitely. The fat creates an anaerobic environment where spoilage organisms cannot survive. Organization is crucial. A root cellar or cool storage room is laid out deliberately. Items used most frequently are most accessible. Smoked meats might be hanging from rafters. Salt-cured portions might be in sealed containers on shelves. Each location is chosen for temperature and humidity conditions most suitable for that type of meat. Through winter, the family draws from their preserved meat supply. Each week uses a portion of what was carefully prepared in autumn. By careful rationing and organized planning, the supply lasts from late autumn through spring, when fresh meat becomes available again. A family that planned well has abundance. A family that underestimated faces scarcity. This cycle, autumn slaughtering and preservation, winter consumption, spring renewal, has repeated for centuries. It's not burden or deprivation. It's the rhythm of self-sufficient living, of planning ahead, of respecting the seasons. By working with nature's cycles rather than against them, the Amish have maintained food security through reliable, repeating processes. Modern society has built elaborate systems to provide meat year-round, from anywhere at any time. This system has genuine advantages. It's convenient, it's reliable most of the time. It's allowed humanity to support larger populations. But it's also created dependence on systems beyond individual control. The Amish approach to meat preservation isn't romantic or quaint. It's practical resilience. A family that knows how to preserve meat possesses security independent of commercial systems. If supply chains fail, if prices become unaffordable, if stores become inaccessible, they can still eat well. Knowledge is the ultimate security. Modern families depend on systems they don't understand. Don't know how meat is processed, where it comes from, how it's preserved. What happens if systems fail? An Amish person grows up understanding every aspect of meat production and preservation. This knowledge is power. If your freezer stopped working and stayed off for an entire winter, would you know how to feed your family? Could you preserve meat using salt and smoke instead of electricity? Do you possess knowledge that would allow you to survive and eat well if modern systems failed? These questions might seem abstract.
On an Amish homestead, maintenance is a way of life. Without modern machinery, they rely on simple tools.
The Amish have preserved meat without refrigeration for 300 years. They've refined techniques that work, proven them through countless seasons, passed the knowledge to each new generation. Their meat is safe, nutritious, and flavorful. Their families eat well through winter. Their system sustains itself. In learning how the Amish preserve meat without refrigeration, we learn something beyond technique. We learn about planning, about respect for food, about connection between seasons and survival, about the satisfaction that comes from providing for yourself rather than depending on others to provide for you. If this glimpse into Amish meat preservation has interested you, please like this video and subscribe for more documentaries about traditional food preservation, forgotten skills, and the wisdom of cultures that have maintained knowledge modern society has chosen to forget.